The Alberta Fish and Game Association is Alberta's oldest conservation organization. Its over 25,000 members represent 80 clubs throughout the province, and it's this grassroots support that makes the organization such a powerful force in conservation. We are the voice of sportsmen and women, and being a member adds volume to the voice of the AFGA. If you are a hunter, angler, or just love the outdoors, you can't afford not to be a member. The Wildlife Trust Fund is the flagship of the Alberta Fish and Game Association's conservation achievements. It is Alberta's oldest and most respected land trust and has grown to include over 100 properties across the province that encompass over 40,000 acres of important fish and wildlife habitat. In addition to conserving critical habitat, Wildlife Trust Fund properties provide recreational opportunities for all outdoor enthusiasts. In 2016, the Wildlife Trust Fund acquired 9 new properties that encompass over 2,000 acres. None of this would have been possible without our clubs and members identifying new properties, fundraising, and stepping up to steward the conservation sites to ensure we get the most benefit possible for our wildlife resources.
Working together with government, corporate partners, and other conservation groups in the province, the Wildlife Trust Fund has had another very successful year in 2016. Every dollar that we generate from our clubs and our zones, we turn into several dollars of purchase power. And in 2016, we really did that in spades. We only spent about $30,000 of the funds we actually raised, and we've secured in excess of $1 million worth of habitat property for the trust fund itself. That means that we're going to help to ensure that the habitats are there in perpetuity for all Albertans to enjoy. And our clubs really should be proud of the accomplishments that we've made in 2016. Recently, the Alberta government has elected to transfer title to a number of habitat properties they own to different land trusts in the province of Alberta. We're very pleased to announce that the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund received the first 7 titles transferred last year, and it is a testament to what we are doing right in the habitat field and the respect that the government has for us. Not only that, we look forward to working with them for the next 10 years to transfer even more titles and obtain and ensure that that habitat stays on the ground in perpetuity. We'd just like to thank the government for considering us, working with us, and we look forward to working with our clubs and zones to ensure those habitat values always remain. The Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund originally worked with the Alberta government to purchase the 320-acre Birch Coulee property. That has now come full circle, and that was one of the first properties where the title was given back to the trust fund from the Alberta government. We will be working with the Alberta Conservation Association to not only manage that land, but ensure that it remains in habitat in perpetuity. We will also share title with that organization. Located within the Central Parkland Natural Subregion, the habitat on this property is comprised primarily of native mixed wood forest and an important riparian corridor. Situated within a ravine, it is home to white-tailed deer, mule deer, and moose. It also provides waterfowl nesting and breeding habitat in a landscape that is dominated by intensive cultivation and cattle production, as well as extensive oil and gas activity. Birch Coulee sits adjacent to 7D Ranch Coulee property, 757 acres of conserved land owned by Ducks Unlimited Canada, and continued securement of the Birch Coulee property ensures habitat connectivity to this protected area. Birch Coulee was purchased by the Government of Alberta in 1997. Since then, the property has been managed for wildlife habitat with access for hunters and other recreational users. Alberta Conservation Association has helped maintain this site for the past 5 years. The lands were donated to the Alberta Conservation Association and Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund on May 3, 2016. The Silverberry Expansion Project, located northwest of Murnum, contains 40 acres of primarily mixed wood forest. It sits adjacent to the 2,100-acre Silverberry property. In the center of the complex, there is a large wetland, and then there are also dozens of other lakes and wetlands that make it a very productive area for nesting waterfowl. The Silverberry Expansion property was donated by the Alberta government to the Wildlife Trust Fund in partnership with Alberta Conservation Association. Silverberry has it all, with an impressive range of habitat. This site boasts lakes, pine stands, bogs, and a ravine complex, thriving riparian habitat, thick spruce canopies, rolling hills, open grassy fields, and mature poplar forest are all here to explore. The property is home to black bears, white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, and moose, as well as a variety of upland and waterfowl species. A Ducks Unlimited Canada water control structure has created an excellent waterfowl marsh west of the lake. Large parcels of intact parkland habitat like this are becoming increasingly rare, and the Silverberry expansion is an important addition to this property. 2 small parking lots are located in the western and central portions of the site to facilitate recreational use. The Lac A Million property was historically managed under the Buck for Wildlife program when title was owned by the provincial government. It has recently been transferred to the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund and our conservation partner, Alberta Conservation Association. This is one of the 7 titles that was transferred to the private conservation community last year from the Government of Alberta to ensure perpetuity of these habitats. Lac A Million is 160 acres in size and includes a continuous block of mature aspen forest and numerous small wetlands scattered throughout. Most of the forest cover is mature aspen with a good understory of alder, saskatoon, dogwood, and prickly rose. The area is heavily used by moose, white-tailed deer, and mule deer and is an excellent breeding location for a diversity of waterfowl. The site is also shown to meet the requirements for a number of amphibians and reptiles. The Musadora expansion property, 160 acres in size, is comprised entirely of boreal mixedwood forest and is located near the town of Two Hills, Alberta. This is another site that was historically managed under the Buck for Wildlife program when title was owned by the provincial government. It is now titled to the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund and our partner Alberta Conservation Association to ensure that the habitat values of these sites remain in perpetuity. Over 1,920 acres of conserved lands occurs within a 5-kilometer radius of the property. Securement of this property is key as the site will enhance habitat connectivity to these existing protected areas. The property scores 6 out of a possible 6 points when ranked against the Suncor Boreal Habitat Conservation Project land securement criteria. It fulfills the mandate of both the ACA and Suncor Energy Foundation by containing native boreal habitat and providing recreational opportunities for Albertans. The property also scored 10 out of 10 on the Wildlife Trust Fund rankings. The property consists primarily of trembling aspen, white spruce, balsam poplar mixed with black spruce, tamarack, and birch. As disturbance and development has been limited, the forest is in excellent condition. The terrain consists of moderately undulating, rolling hills dominated by deciduous forest with open meadows and several ephemeral wetlands. White-tailed deer, mule deer, black bear, and moose all call the Musadora expansion property home, as do a variety of upland birds and small mammals. The latest addition to the Wildlife Trust Fund is the Beaton Wetland property. This 320-acre site sits in the Deadwood Focus area of the Suncor Boreal Habitat Conservation Initiative. This site scored top rankings for Suncor, Alberta Conservation Association, and Alberta Fish and Game Association ranking criteria, and is another great example of a partnership that we have with the Alberta Conservation Association, who we hold joint title with. The property is dry mixedwood boreal forest with 150 acres of forest and 170 acres of wetland. The site is within 2 kilometers of 2 other conservation sites, helping to create more of a conservation landscape. There is regular wildlife use by moose, elk, whitetail, black bear, rough grouse, and a tremendous diversity of waterfowl and shorebirds. Excellent hiking and wildlife viewing opportunities also exist. The 359-acre Sturgeon Lake property is comprised entirely of boreal forest. It is home to moose, elk, black bears, white-tailed deer, mule deer, a variety of upland game birds, songbirds, and raptors. This is an important property because it has riparian habitat along Sturgeon Lake itself, but it also provides recreational access for both hunters and anglers. The Sturgeon Lake property is a good example of what mature boreal forest looks like and how it benefits wildlife. This property was originally owned by Shell Canada and donated to the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Knowing the value of the Wildlife Trust Fund's volunteer stewardship program, the Nature Conservancy of Canada asked if they could donate this property to the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund and have locals get involved to help manage and maintain the habitat values. We are currently working on putting together a volunteer stewardship group to work with the Alberta Fish and Game Association's Fish Chair, Mr. Daryl Smith, who will help lead volunteers and activities. The Musadura 4 property was purchased from a private individual who wanted to ensure that the habitat values on that land were maintained in perpetuity. The Alberta Fish and Game Association's Wildlife Trust Fund worked collectively with Ducks Unlimited Canada and Alberta Conservation Association to purchase the land and make sure that those habitat values will always be there. The Musadura 4 property is 160 acres in size and is comprised entirely of native boreal forest and is located 16 kilometers northwest of Two Hills. What makes this property unique is that there are over 1,920 acres of conserved land within a 5-kilometer radius. The acquisition of this property will enhance the habitat connectivity and the habitat values of the existing protected areas. This would be a great property to explore if you've never visited a conservation site. There are numerous game trails, so don't be surprised if you run into moose or deer or flush a rough grouse. While property securement is the cornerstone of the Wildlife Trust Fund, there are a lot of other responsibilities involved in owning more than 40,000 acres of land in the province. These include grazing leases, oil and gas development, fencing, access issues, livestock management, noxious weed control, property inspections, neighboring landowner relations, liaison with other conservation groups, referrals, habitat assessment and evaluation. The Wildlife Trust Fund continues to be strongly supported by the affiliate clubs and members of the Alberta Fish and Game Association, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for your support. Without your help, we simply wouldn't be as strong or be able to partake in the partnerships that we do to be successful. We're really lining up in 2017 to have another very successful year, but the only way that's going to happen is if we continue to get strong support from our clubs and members. What we're working on is a living legacy in the conservation community. And when we stop to think about what this will mean to future generations and our grandchildren, it's hard to imagine how important these habitats are today.
While owning over 100 properties across the province is great, it does come with a lot of maintenance. Now, our volunteer stewardship program really helps us a lot. You know, having stewards on these properties to do minor repairs and just checking on them to make sure everything's okay really helps us out. But every once in a while, you do need to do some major maintenance. And we're here on the Nevis property right now, and we needed to fix some fence. Now, we don't graze cattle here or anything else, but we've had a lot of problems here with illegal vehicle trespass, so we have to keep a fence up. So thanks to the minister's special license, we actually got a grant here to install some wildlife-friendly fencing. There's a lot of mule deer on this property, and they migrate a lot to the surrounding farmland, but they spend a lot of time on our property. That's kind of their core home range. So what this wildlife-friendly fencing allows them to do is we've set the bottom wire at 18 inches, so any of the smaller deer can crawl under it easily. We've set the top wire at 42 inches, so any of the bigger deer can jump over it. And as you can notice, the spacing's a little bit weird on this fence, but what that allows, if a deer happens to catch, or a moose or whatever, catches its back legs on this wire, it doesn't get wrapped around so easy and wrapped up in the fence. And you also notice we did 4 strands of smooth wire. So what this does, it just makes it a lot more friendly for the deer, the moose, whatever else has to cross this fence. So don't always like to have fences, but you know, they are a necessity, and this was a great way. So, you know, thanks to the minister's special license and the funds they provide to conservation projects, we were able to install this wildlife-friendly fencing here. And we're going to use this as a model, you know, to show other conservation groups and to show our partners that this fencing can be friendly for wildlife. Proper management of these properties depends heavily on AFGA members, and we have established a volunteer stewardship program to ensure they are well looked after. Volunteer stewards conduct biannual inspections and assist habitat staff with maintenance and special projects. With such a large number of properties located right across the province, there's no way these properties could be properly cared for without the dedication of our volunteer stewards. The Pronghorn Corridor Enhancement Project is a joint initiative between the Alberta Fish and Game Association and the Alberta Conservation Association. We've worked together with private landowners in southern Alberta to remove fences that are barriers to pronghorn movement and to replace barbed wire with smooth wire on bottom strands to facilitate easier movement by antelope. This project is only made possible by the thousands of volunteer hours that AFGA members commit. In the past 6 years, hundreds of miles of fence have been made pronghorn friendly. With pronghorn at the northern extent of their range in Alberta, projects like this are more important than ever in ensuring the future of pronghorn in the province. Well, one thing you see a lot of in cattle country and antelope country are fences, and fences can be quite the barrier to pronghorn movement. So what you'll notice a lot down here where antelope hunting is there's actually smooth wire on the bottom of these fences, and it's set at 18 inches. Now, antelope rarely jump fences. Most of them won't. What they do is they crawl under, and they need about 16 inches to do that. So most of the landowners are pretty gracious to antelope down here and do set their bottom wire fairly high. But one of the problems with barbed wire, and if you ever shoot an antelope down in this country, you'll see they always have a lot of scratches on their back, and so they can get infection from that. They get hair loss, which doesn't help them in the wintertime. So the great thing about this smooth wire is they can just crawl under it, there's no damage, and they can crawl under the whole length of this fence. They don't have to go to established crossings. So, for predator avoidance and things like that, it's just a really good thing. And this is a project I've been really involved in. I help coordinate the smooth wire fencing project for the Alberta Fish and Game Association, and we get money from the Minister Special License and from the Alberta Conservation Association, and we get time from a lot of volunteers. Just literally thousands of volunteer hours over the years have gone into making so many fences down in southern Alberta more pronghorn friendly. The other thing we've done is we've removed just a pile of page wire down here. There were some old sheep pens down here. Along the train tracks there was always page wire, and that page wire is a total impediment to pronghorn movement. So getting that down, getting some smooth wire in place just makes it easier when they're migrating, and in the end we get a lot more pronghorn in this country. So if you're an antelope hunter, if you've ever thought about hunting antelope, you might get a little good karma. Come down, help us out on the antelope fencing project. Youth are the future of the Alberta Fish and Game Association, and we run many programs to help foster their love and understanding of the outdoors. These include mentored hunts, wildlife and habitat projects, as well as providing a number of educational programs through our various clubs throughout Alberta. These youngsters are our future hunters and anglers, and by involving them in these programs at a young age, we can ensure that the future of our precious fish and wildlife resources is in good hands. Several youth camps are also held each year, and youngsters have the opportunity to learn about firearms, archery, boating, and a host of other outdoor activities. Thousands of Alberta's hunters and anglers got their start at an AFGA youth camp.
And I'm here I haven't really shot a gun before since Monday. So Monday I shot my first gun, and it was a .22. So that was really fun, and I've learned a lot here.
You do some classroom stuff too?
Yeah, we've been in the classrooms. We've been learning about survival and firearm safety and what you should take hunting and what you can hunt.
So when you leave here, you'll actually have your hunter education and boating safety course and all that stuff?
Yes, we will take a test at the end of the, I think either today or tomorrow. And if we pass it, then when we leave, we have everything.
What's the best part of the day?
Shooting the .22s or archery.
And would you come back, or would you ever recommend someone else come here?
Yeah, I would definitely come back.
Women play an ever-increasing role in the outdoors, and each year we hold camps, especially for them. Becoming an Outdoor Women's program is designed for ladies interested in honing their outdoor skills and learning more about archery and firearms. The camps offer a very fun and friendly environment for women to learn and make new outdoor friends.
My name's Amy. This is my second year here. I was here, I think, the first year the camp occurred. I guess I learned about it through my brother, who's into fish and game. He does scoring for animals and stuff like that. I just came back because me and my sister-in-law came, and we drug some friends with us this time around. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a good time. I enjoy it. Lots of life skills, cooking on the fire. And we usually have pretty good meals, so the food's definitely a bonus.
What are your favorite activities and why?
Probably skeet shooting, and I like the archery and canoeing. Learning how to back up a trailer was helpful. I've used that skill a few times. I know I've got my boating license through these guys as well, so it's kind of stuff that I've used over the years as well. So yeah, it's beneficial.
Another important program delivered by the Alberta Fish and Game Association is Operation Grassland Community. The stewardship program works directly with landholders in Alberta to secure and enhance prairie wildlife habitats for species at risk. OGC believes the prairie habitats can be wisely used, ensuring the sustainability of both wildlife habitats and agricultural livelihoods. Over the past few decades, OGC has established volunteer stewardship agreements with over 300 landholders who are voluntarily protecting over 900,000 acres of native prairie habitat in southern Alberta. In 2013, the Alberta Fish and Game Association took over administration and the sale of the Minister's Special Raffle and Auction licenses. These special licenses for bighorn sheep, elk, and mule deer raise a significant amount of funds for conservation and education projects throughout the province. The lucky winner of the elk raffle will have a unique opportunity to hunt the entire province outside of regular seasons. Traditionally, elk have been found throughout the foothills and subalpine regions of Alberta, but they are now very plentiful in the parkland and prairie regions of the province as well. Recent Minister's Special License hunts have produced some exceptional elk, and the opportunity to harvest a bull in excess of 400 inches exists. The lucky winner will be able to hunt some of North America's biggest elk during a season that extends to December 31st. The mule deer license is the most recent of the raffle licenses. Mule deer are widely distributed throughout Alberta, and their numbers have steadily increased to an estimated population of 175,000 animals. Alberta is well known for producing monster bucks, including the #1 non-typical in the world. Recent Minister's Special License hunts have produced some exceptional bucks, and the opportunity to take a deer in excess of 200 inches is a possibility. The lucky winner will be able to hunt some of North America's largest mule deer during a season that extends to December 31st. The Minister's Special Bighorn Sheep License is the premier raffle prize. Alberta's provincial mammal, the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep, is world-renowned both for its size and the magnificent habitat it occupies. Alberta rams currently occupy 8 of the top 10 spots in the Boone and Crockett record book, including numbers 1 and 2. Alberta has produced several exceptional rams in the past decade that continue to rewrite the record books. The lucky winner will have the opportunity to hunt a special season that extends to December 15th. Minister's Special License hunts have produced some exceptional rams, including a past world record. The possibility to take a once-in-a-lifetime trophy is a reality. The restricted funds raised are used by AFGA to fund conservation programs that benefit fish and wildlife in Alberta. To fulfill its mission and provide a framework for restricted fund expenditure, AFGA uses a committee comprised of various conservation organizations to make recommendations for conservation programs related to habitat improvement and fish and wildlife management. During the course of the 3 years funding, over $800,000 was granted and spent on projects such as all financial activities for the 2013 and 2014 funding grants have undergone AFGA's annual audit. Because of the time lag between raising funds and granting them, the 2015 activities will fall under the upcoming audit, which generally occurs during November or December. Over the first 3 years of the grant allocations, approximately 80% of the monies went directly to on-the-ground conservation projects, and the balance to educational events and materials. We encourage all members to support the purchasing of these tickets. The Alberta Fish and Game Association is a strong voice in protecting the rights of hunters and anglers in Alberta. In addition to adding your voice to the largest conservation organization in the province, your AFGA membership includes all hunters and anglers in the province should become members of the Alberta Fish and Game Association. The cost of membership is low, and the strength of our voice grows with each member. We are the voice of anglers and hunters in Alberta. Be certain you are heard too. Join today.